Shalom, shalom. I'd like to do sort of a part 2 continuing on how Shauwl the apostle, or the delegate Shauwl, taught the PaRDeS of the 4 levels of scripture. This is part 2 of the last one. I'll connect together. You know, the Peshat, the Remez, the Darash, the Sod. Again, for those who haven't seen the first, I only use the Judaism terminology because I don't have anything to do with the Judaism, the way they teach the mysticism behind it, the times, astral projection, spirit travel, whatever they do to add so much to it. It's just basic common sense. Teaching it the simplicity of when you read a passage of scripture, there's something implied. Shaull's letter applies, all of his writings, they apply layer upon layer, thought upon thought, and he builds up to an end of the sum of the word. That's why all of his verses can be taken out of context, but you're missing the entire point, and so many have been lost. As the prophecy that Yahusha even gave Shaull, that said, I'm going to raise you up to deliver my children from the darkness and the hold of Satan to the kingdom of light. All Shaull teaches is it's not, but he adds, just like Yahusha did. He came on this earth with the parables. He puts some mysteries and deep things to weave more into it's all there, but it sort of helps you glean and pull out all of the treasures and the pearls of great price out of the Tanakh and the writings. This is another example. I'm going to go into the background and explain. This is like a description of the 4 meanings of Scripture. There's everything in the world. There's a physical reality that's pointing to a spiritual reality. A physical reality teaches a spiritual reality. That's what I'm going to share with you. Romans 1, verse 18, please. Romans 1. For the wrath of Elohim Yahuwah is revealed from heaven against all wickedness, the unrighteousness of men who suppress the truth in unrighteousness. Because that which was known about Elohim was manifested to them, for Elohim has manifested it to them. So the unbelievers teach this. He's talking to the entire world. Yahusha is hinting through Shaull that only those who are already in him saw this truth, and they started to know right and wrong, and they fell away. This is not teaching the world. This is teaching the degeneration back into the spirit of delusion. Because if you don't continue on in the Torah, it's a spirit of delusion. You're being taken over. You have to constantly, you can fall, stumble, it's okay. He's going to take us through it. But we cannot fall away and apply Shaull's writings like the Christians do. I mean, it just can't be done. I'm going to do a teaching on Romans 6:2 to explain that a little more. Here it is. Because that which was known of Elohim was shown them. They were believers. They came into the Mashiach. For Elohim Yahuwah has manifested it to them. For pointing back, for since the creation of this world, in the beginning, the 7-day week that created the months. So you never can have a Sabbath within a moon phase, things like that. It's so simple, it's such common sense, but the intellectuals miss it. You have to be too intelligent to understand the simplicity of the Messiah. If you're intelligent, you'll never know the simplicity of the Messiah, Mashiach. For since the creation of this world, the invisible things have been clearly seen, being understood for that which has been made, both his everlasting power and his mightiness, to them, those who forsook him after they were called, to them without excuse the judgment. Because although they once knew Elohim, these aren't the world's people. The world's people don't know Elohim. These are the people who have fallen away. Although they knew Elohim, they did not esteem him as Elohim, Yahuwah, nor give him thanks, but they became worthless in their reasonings, and their understanding heart became darkened. So they were claiming to be wise, they became fools. They changed the esteem of the incorruptible Elohim into the likeness and the image of a corruptible man, or of birds, or a 4-footed beast, or of reptiles. Because Elohim gave them up to this uncleanness, and he's talking about spirits there too. Satan has 4 faces, 4 animal faces. Figure it out. Therefore Elohim gave them up to the uncleannesses of their lusts, of their hearts, to disrespect their bodies. Now that uncleanness talks about the clean laws too. To disrespect their bodies among themselves. Remember, as I said before, there's like 7 passages in the Brit HaKadosh of Scripture that state you will not inherit the kingdom if you are ceremonially unclean in a perpetual state. We all can become unclean, but you have to honor the washing system. That any washing unclean until evening type stuff that has nothing to do with a priest, we're bound to. Like for example, the women who have a child, you're only unclean for 7 or 14 days. That 40 and 80 days not being clean for the temple to go to a priest, that's all been postponed. See, that's a non-issue, but the 7 to 14 days still apply. If you love him, you'll do it. If you don't love him, you won't. See, his Ruach is telling you to do it. It's all on how you can hear him. The Ba'alim, Yahuwah gave them up to uncleanness, to the lusts of their heart, to disrespect their bodies among themselves. They changed the truth about Elohim and the falsehood, and they worshipped and served that which was created, rather than their Creator, who is blessed forever. And of course, who was created but Satan. Remember, there's 2 frequencies in this world, Yahuwah or Satan's. If you go out of the frequency of Tanakh and Torah, you serve Satan. There's no in between. There's light and there's darkness. Okay? Now, because of this, Elohim gave these people who fell away, who are starting to inherit the spirit of delusion, Elohim, Yahuwah gave them over to these degrading passions. Now I'm going to teach the Drash and the Remez level teachings that Shauwl taught. He taught all 4 layers. That's where most of his scriptures are misinterpreted. You have to go and learn the Tanakh, all the Old Covenant, all the Old Testament, as they call it, first before you can pick up one of his letters. For those who are anti-Paulites. You remember? When I started out, all I did was read Paul's letters and the Psalms when I was a babe, and Shaull's letters took me right to the Torah. I was not a spirit of delusion person. He allowed me to see through the veil right off the bat. Notice I didn't go to licensed Christianity. I mean, I saw that he taught the strictest of Torah. But yet, we cannot attain righteousness of the Torah. We show our love and obedience to him, and our love for him by obeying. But our righteousness only comes through the source. There's no righteousness with it. But if you don't love him, he won't. Why would he want somebody who hated him in the kingdom with him? It won't happen. See? He won't let him in. And because of this, Elohim gave them over to degrading passions. Even their assemblies, you have to pick up the Song of Moshe, the Song of the Lamb, or the Remez and the Drash, the symbolism of what a woman is. A woman is either a great whore, or it's Israel, or individual members of Israel. It's a type of a woman or an assembly, a called out one. So Elohim gave them over to degrading passions, for even their assemblies exchanged the natural relations, which was against nature. Now this is talking about when women raise up and teach men too. It's the same thing. Women do not have any authority in assemblies to teach men, except they may prophesy. And they can teach women if the husbands give permission for them to do so. They can stand up for word of edification and prophesying. That's fine, but they cannot speak in authority. They can say, you must change your life to adapt to this scripture. That's sin. And women don't realize they just curse and curse and curse whenever they stand up to a man like they're a man. And this is not any feminism on my part. This is fact. The Father always will curse it. Eve killed all man. Satan always works through the woman to kill the man. That's just how it is. Because men are drawn to a woman in a different way. So they're always going to want to be pleasing and caring for the women, and the women will always take advantage of that, you see. So likewise also, the men of the assembly, having left their natural relations with the assemblies, where they allow a woman to stand up in leadership. See how there's a drash going on here? Do you see this? Likewise, the males of the assembly, who are supposed to be in head and in control, have cast that Ahab spirit into the mix and allow the woman to stand up. His natural relations with the woman have changed. See, this is spiritual as well as a literal teaching of homosexuality and lesbianism. There is a type of it. That is the Peshat. But we're not teaching. We're teaching a little bit. It's like a Drash and Remez blend here, okay? Again, remed is the applied, the inferred, the application, and the drash is there's a symbolism. See, there's a drash about the woman. That's the drashing it. Even they did not, let's see, go back to verse 27, Romans 1:27. Likewise, the males, having left their natural purpose with the assembly. I'm trying to teach how Shauwl taught many layers all at once. They burned in their desires for one another, men with men. That could be two Ahabs coming together and enjoying the woman teaching, or enjoying a dominant woman in the assembly. Oh, I can go on and on, all the assemblies that have women leadership. Their lust for one another, men with men, committing indecency, because it is indecent. That's why Yahuwah hinted and taught that if a woman is not hair covered with a cloth, it offends the angels. That angels won't give them the full benefit if they don't keep their long hair and hair covered. So go ahead, don't wear hair covering. You're cursed, women. That's just how it is. It will happen when you pray and prophesy. I don't mean wear it all the time. But somebody says, oh, I pray all the time in my thoughts. Well, then you'd better wear the head covering at all times. Because all it's going to do is curse you. He's not going to redeem you from the curse of the law when you curse him and force the curse back on you. Okay? Even they did not think it worthy to possess the knowledge of Elohim. Elohim gave them over to the worthless mind to be clean-minded or clear conscience to do it. He gives them over after they truly quit repenting. They do it so many times they don't come to the Father and seek correction. He will guide and lead all your paths if you will submit to it. So Elohim does give them over to a worthless mind to do that which is improper. Having been filled with all unrighteousness, whoring, wickedness, greed, evil, filled with envy, spirit of murder, fighting, deceit, evil habits, whisperers, backbiters, slanderers. They hate Elohim, insolent, proud, boasters. These are spirits that enter them. Remember, there's two frequencies in the world. Yahuwah and his Torah, the way, truth, and life of Yahusha or Satan. There's no in between. If you're not following Torah, you're a servant of Satan no matter how you pacify it. We're all growing. We all have areas and pockets of darkness that we are fighting to resist that. But as the Father sees that we are submitting to him, he will keep Satan's legal power off of us as we're still serving it. But if you fall away and continue to resist, he will allow Satan to creep back in. Okay, they're without discernment, spiritual discernment, covenant breakers, hint, 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 hint. See, he's hinting. He's remezing it now. Unloving, unforgiving, and ruthless, who, although they knew the righteous principles of Elohim, they did not practice such things. They deserve death. Not only do they do the same, but they approve of those who practice it with them. So that's a little drash and remez teaching of Shauwl right in the middle of this. It's right here. I'm running close on time, so we're just close here. I just wanted to fill in one more little gap. All of Shaull's writings, it's very simple. Let me explain. The PaRDeS, I'm using Jewish terminology. I'm recapping. PaRDeS is wonderful. All of the scriptures are woven. The Ruach breathes in these four dimensions. Soul, spirit, joint, marrow. Remember Hebrews 4:12? Soul, spirit, joint, and marrow. Okay? Height, width, depth, and length. North, south, east, and west. See, there's always four dimensions. There's 7 Ruachs of Yahuwah. But remember those 4 in Zechariah, those 4 Melachim who traveled throughout the entire earth to show him, those 4, the red horse, the dappled horse, the gray horse, whatever. So if we don't follow through with this knowledge and take this, PaRDeS as the Jewish call it, the acronym for Hafshat, Remez, Drash, and Sod, and we don't start applying it to all, not just New Testament. I'm trying to teach this in baby steps. If we can apply it to our lives and see the spiritual encoding that the Torah and the Tanakh taught us. I'm just showing the term for a woman and a man. All of this has already been unveiled of spiritual meanings in the Tanakh. And that's how you precept upon precept, line upon line him. It's not mysticism. It's not some Jewish witchcraft. I'm just using their terminology to have a point of reference. So this is what I'm saying. We got to PaRDeS the word to allow us to truly understand the fullness that we can have with Him. So shalom, shalom.